So good morning, learners, and welcome to today's science lesson. We're going to continue from where we left in our previous lesson. We were dealing with electricity, and our last thing was we were discussing about good and bad conductors of electricity. And we named a few good conductors of electricity, and we said all metals are good conductors of electricity. As long as it's a metal, can be able to conduct electricity. We also say that there are non-metals that conduct electricity, and such includes the graphite that happens to be the writing part of a pencil. We have water. We say water is a polar substance, meaning that it's both a negative and positive terminals. Then, of course, we have the carbon foil. We also have wet wood. Sometimes when you experience an electric shock, you will see a person using a dry wood to remove that person who's gotten stuck maybe on an electric plug. But they cannot use a wet wood because the wet wood is having water inside it. And so if they use wood, they can also easily get electrocuted. So we're talking about wet wood. It can be able to conduct electricity. And many others. Then we also talked about those that do not conduct electricity, call them bad conductors of electricity. We also call them insulators. To insulate is to prevent, prevent against. So they prevent one against electric current. And so we said examples are glass. Many learners confuse glass and tend to think that glass is a metal. Glass is not a metal, it's not a metallic thing. So that's why it cannot be able to conduct electricity. So glass cannot conduct electricity. Then we have thread, we have dry wood, and so many others. We have wood, and so that's why you find that we have rubber, plastic. All these cannot be able to conduct electricity. We call them insulators. And where do we use insulators? I say I mentioned this. Where do we use insulators? We use insulators to make handles of cooking utensils, like the frying pans. The frying pans handles are always made of, if not wood, they are going to be made in that plastic, a very hard type of plastic. I want to note this, learner. We don't use insulators to make cooking utensils. That is very wrong. We don't use insulators to make cooking utensils. Cooking utensils include sufurias. We cannot use rubber to make a sufuria. We cannot use plastic to make a sufuria. But we can use rubber to make the handle of that particular type of a sufuria, the handle itself. But the other part, which is the cooking part, is made up of majorly aluminium. And why aluminium? Because aluminium is a very good conductor of heat. That's why we use aluminium. It can conduct heat very fast, even if the heat is of low quantity. So that's what we're talking about handles. Remember to underline these handles. We use to make them. We use to make handles of cooking utensils so that we prevent the heat. So that's what I wanted to remind you. So the insulators in this case, when it is we're talking about electricity, the insulators are going to prevent one from getting electric shock. That's why you see a wire is coated with something plastic, so that you don't get into the wire directly, because that will bring to you shock. So Insulators can also be used to make covers to cover electric wires. To insulate one against electricity. That is very, very important. So if a wire doesn't have a certain wire or cable is not having the cover, well, these insulators, we say that wire is bare or naked. If you step on a naked wire, which I don't expect you to try, you get a shock. You may even die because electricity is going to damage your internal organs, the kidney, the heart, and so forth and so on. That's why you see the wires that you're using at home to be able to generate, to transfer electricity from one end to another, they are usually coated. They are usually covered with a plastic thing that is an insulator to prevent you against shock. So we see uninsulated wires are commonly known as bare, and they can cause electric shock or even electrocution. Electric shock or electrocution. So this is some of the things that I wanted us to remind ourselves today. But away from this, I have also something else to talk about the electrical appliances. Now that we're talking about insulators and so forth and so on, we need to understand what are the things that we are going to see at our homes that are insulated. So we can define what an electrical appliance is, and we say a machine or device, an electrical appliance. An electrical appliance is a machine or device that is used to do a specific work and uses electric or specific work or purpose and is powered by electricity. Simple. Any appliance, any device or machine that is used to perform a specific purpose and is powered by electricity qualifies to be an electric appliance. So some of them are used, some of our appliances at home are used. Some electrical appliances at home use the heating effects of electricity, are used for heating. Meaning that they are going to convert electricity into heat energy that can be able to use. So I want us to just name a few of the electrical appliances. Number one is going to be electric iron. So we have electrical appliance on this side, electrical appliance, and then on that side you have the purpose. This is a question here in JCP. So be keen in what I'm going to explain here. So one of the electrical appliances I've said an electric iron, an electric iron. And how do you use iron, Lana? So an iron uses electricity, converts electricity into heat energy, and so it is used for pressing. When I talk about pressing, I usually mean ironing clothes. So if you say you are pressing your clothes, you simply mean ironing clothes. Number two is electric cooker. So we are learning this one. Then number two, an electric cooker. I know we have different types of cookers, But this one is the one that uses electricity. You have seen the type of one that is a coil, and we have the other one, the big makers that use electricity. And this is also going to convert electricity into heat that can be used to cook. So it's used for cooking. So you can no longer, the reason why you're saying is used for specific work or used for specific purpose, because you cannot use an electric cooker for ironing. This is specifically used for cooking. That's why you're talking about a specific purpose. Number three, an electric kettle. An electric kettle. An electric kettle for boiling water or making tea. For boiling water or making tea. Again, this is going to convert electricity into heat energy that can be able to use to be able to boil tea or, make tea or boil water. Number 4, we are going to have radio and television. Radio and television and TVs. This is for receiving information. So there are signals that are going to be relayed to the TVs and radios so that you can be able to. And they are going to use electricity. Without electricity, they are not going to work. Though there are those that use dry cell. But again, they convert those dry cells. You saw that dry cells are sources of electricity. So we're talking generally whether they are using dry cells or electricity. We have so many of them. We have maybe the electric heater. Electric heater. You are going to meet them in an exam. The one that you plug in the heater on the socket and you place it in a jar full of water. You see the water boiling. So this is the boiling water. Boiling or heating water. And so many other examples of electrical appliances. So you are going to meet them in the exam. They will be there. You'll be asked to the following is not an example but an electrical appliance. So whenever you hear about electrical appliance, you talk about